Welcome to Esalen Live, where we chat with change agents and swim deep waters in an ongoing exploration of human potential. I'm your host, Christine Chen. You know, our dependence on a digital world is even more intense these days, and mindfulness experts say that it can do a major number on our egos. I want to introduce you to someone in Esalen Live today. His name is Joel Gruber. He's a best-selling author, a Buddhist, and a guide on this topic. He joins us on Esalen Live to explore how we work through this moment in time on a path toward our awakened selves. And this is something,
Hello.
hi, how are you? The music just wants to sing when you're on, Joel. I can't seem to hear you. Let me work with that a little bit. Hi, let's start again. Hi, Joel.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you? Hey,
Good.
welcome to Esalen Live, and make sure you let us know in the chat where you're joining from, and if you have any questions about this awakened self, the ego, the digital world. We all have something to say about it. I mean, right before we joined, Joel and I were talking about how we've been in the digital world and away from each other, and he's just kind of coming back out and chatting about this again. So he's really excited. Tell us more, Joel.
Yeah, no, I said I was really excited to see you. I am really excited to see you. I think like a lot of people for the last few years just kind of isolated, and been reading, writing, meditation, but it's a lot of it is in front of a screen and there's not so much interaction. So it's just nice to get out. It's nice to get out and be talking to people again. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, it is. And we've changed a lot because we've been in this digital world, right? It might not
Yes.
seem like it. We're like, okay, I'm just me, but I'm in the camera, but so much is different. And
Yeah.
so yeah, right. So tell me what your thoughts are on that, because it seems like that really just sparked something in your brain right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we've become so isolated, and human beings are ultra social beings. The reason we became kind of the king of all animals is because we can work well together. It's part of what we are. And then when you take this away, it feels, I mean, we're connecting. You and I are talking. It feels like there's connection, but we don't quite get the same thing. We when we're trapped in front of a screen, even though we're on social media, it's really isolating, and so that's why we're seeing anxiety, depression, all of these things are going up. We're isolated in front of this screen.
Yeah. But at the same time, we're trying to be ourselves, right? And so this brings up the
Yes.
idea of the self, which is your deep work on the self and the awakened self. Is that
Yeah.
different now versus before? Can you share more about what you talk about when you say self versus awakened self? If you have any thoughts, put them in the
Yeah.
chat if not.
So I'm a Buddhist studies, or I was a Buddhist studies professor, but I also did religious studies and comparative religious studies. And in every contemplative tradition, in every tradition where they're meditating, prayer, they're focused on introspective empiricism. We're trying to study the mind with the mind. And every single one of these cultures, they basically divide the identity into two things. On one side, there's the self, and on the other side, there's what I'm calling the awakened self. Christians would call it a soul, Hindus would call it Atman, and Buddhists would call it Buddha nature. But the ego, the other side, this social self, this identity, this thing this voice that's with us from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, and it's telling us what to do, and it's telling us who we are, and it's telling us how to engage with the world, and it kind of never shuts up, right?
Well,
This is the self we know very well,
it's true.
even if we
It's
don't want
true.
to know, even
But
if we don't want it, right?
let me
But
ask you
what
this, because I'm
happens?
confused here, because you sent me this and you're talking about the self and the awakened self. And I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure he'll explain these images to me when I talk to him. So, what do these images stand for with the self and the awakened self?
Yeah, so we come from a culture that's a lot of us, we think in scientific terms. So you can think of it as William James call it the divided self. On one side we have the ego, and on one side we have like the awakened self. Or on one side we have the left brain, the ego, and on the other side we have the right brain, which is the ego or the left brain is all about me, 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 and the right brain is all about we, right? And with our culture, it's become, especially digitally, it's become so me and egocentric, right? So we have this, we're not using both parts of our brain really well. So everything's become all about ego. So if we go back to that clip, the
Yep.
two images,
Yep.
if we go back to it, it's kind of the one on the right, it's disproportionate. So on the right, if the right side, the big I don't even know how to say
Oh,
that, that
oh,
big
like a
shape,
puzzle
it's just,
piece, like a puzzle piece
Yes, it's
almost.
just all become ego, you know? We've become really disconnected from this
Oh,
other part of us, this right brain. And sometimes we feel it. Like sometimes we feel it when we're out in nature. When you go, we were just talking about, you know, you have this beautiful view. So when you're looking out on the ocean and your sense of self, this it kind of dissipates and you feel part of something larger. You feel connected, right? So this is the part of the brain that's been kind of that we're not using so much as we become isolated, particularly digitally. And so we're not using, we're meant to be social, we're meant to be we're meant to look outside, we're meant to see the stars, we're meant to tap into something greater, we're meant to feel part of something connected, and we're just not. We're
yeah.
just trapped in this world that's all about me, and we're telling these stories over and over and over, and a lot of them are stories, these things that we don't necessarily, a lot of it's self-criticism. And a lot of this self-criticism is coming from the things we don't like about ourselves. A lot of times, this is not us,
Oh,
right? These
and
are
this is,
voices.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I said
Well,
these are
this is
voices from.
this is the digital world, right? We're both trying
This
to
is
talk, but
it.
I'm going to be quiet. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? One of the things I've got to see with New Gods, the company I'm doing, is I've got to see like peek behind the hood and see people what people are really going through. And I see there's a lot of self-criticism and a lot more kind of self-loathing than I thought. And so one of the things when we calm the mind down and we can see these voices and we can see this self-criticism, a lot of times we can notice that actually these things that we think are us, these things we don't like, they're just voices we've inherited, internalized from culture, advertising, you're not good enough, or from school or your parents. And when we can kind of shut these voices off, we can access something deeper, right? And this is a more authentic self, what we're calling the awakened self.
Well, let me ask you this. First of all, if you're watching us on Esalen Live, this is Joel Gruber. He's a Buddhist, a scholar, an author, talking about the self versus the awakened self as it relates to the digital jungle. We're in the screen world. So,
Yes.
the digital world and all the companies in it like to say that this is how we're staying connected. And in fact, that's true because during
Yeah.
the pandemic, we were staying connected versus just in our homes and
Yes.
not able to talk to each other, right? But like you said, this brings up this idea that your ego, because you're in the box, becomes a little bit
Yeah.
more elevated and it becomes a little bit more prominent. And when you talk about social media, oh boy, we're
Yeah.
bringing up something really big here about
Yeah.
anxiety and depression and the things that are real versus not real. If any of this is resonating with you, by the way, at home, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, ask Joel any questions about this. We want to hear from you. What do you think about all of this? So, when you talk about being mindful, how can we reduce this noise of the ego and the digital self that isn't really the self because it's in this box? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it's really hard, right? But have you ever had this moment, you know, where all of a sudden this voice that's with you, it just disappears. It feels good. It feels blissful, right? It feels and so but the question is how do we kind of regulate this? I mean, one of the reasons we're in a mental health crisis is because we spend so little time alone, right? We're always distracted. We're always logging in. It's almost like I heard Ponlum Rinpoche, who's a lama in Seattle, where you're from. He was explaining our ego is kind of like if we live in New York City, it's kind of like our neighbor. We see it every day, but we're scared of it. You know, we see this every day, but we're kind of scared of our own mind. And so one of the things that we do, one of the practices we do, is we use visualization or mental imagery to circumvent the left brain, the ego narratives, and get around those because it's hard. You know, there's of course the traditional way where you sit down and you count your breaths, you follow the exhalation, and you breathe in, you breathe out. But some of us, especially at the beginning, it's so hard to just sit still. We're still
Hmm.
can't quiet that voice, you know? So you mentioned that maybe we'll do a practice. Maybe this is a good time to do one.
Yeah, I love this idea. And this practice, by the way, if you're at home, please practice with us. We're just going to try
Yeah.
it. We're in our own spaces, but please let's be together in this digital world for good. Uh, you mentioned about self-hatred, the things that are
Yeah.
inside, this breath work, these patterns. Does this breath work help us work with that in this world that we're living in right now?
Yeah, I think it really does. I think it's a weird thing to say, but I mean, especially from a male perspective, I'm 44, especially my generation. I mean, I was so disconnected from my body. It was almost like I viewed my body as something I needed to fight against, you know?
Mm,
And I mean, I was an academic, so I was so hyper left brain focused and I was rewarded for that. That's what made me successful, you know? And so I just became completely disconnected. So, one of the things that working with breath work and especially mental imagery, like we're going to do a visualization where you're going to imagine a ball, a glowing ball in the center of your chest. There's no glowing ball actually there, right? And that's kind of the purpose of the meditation. It's not really rational. And so you start accessing a deeper part of or a different part of your brain. And that's by getting into the body and also seeing this mental imagery. But it's a weird thing when you start to feel it. We're going to do a meditation where we imagine a glowing ball. And Christine, this glowing ball can be any color. It's up to you. We're going to close our eyes. And is it swirling? Is it pulsating? What's it doing? And then we're going to imagine this ball glowing and filling our body, just filling our body with light all the way
okay.
up, all the way down. And then you know what? I'm going to imagine covering you with warm light. It's super corny. It sounds corny, I know. But I'm going to cover you with warm. I'm sure you're not stressed. I'm sure I'm the one stressed. But whatever stresses you're having, I'm going to imagine them just dissipating, you know?
Okay,
And I'm going
Joel,
to imagine feeling.
I'm going to let you take it away. Go ahead.
Okay. So for everybody, we'll do a few deep breaths to kind of calm our mind. So I like to do a little bit exaggerated. You don't have to do it like this, but imagine you're breathing in light. And I like, if you look at like the Chinese or Tibetan or Japanese art, they have these really cool swirling clouds. So I like to imagine breathing in swirling air and breathing in as light and breathe it in as something that invigorates you, right? That and as you breathe in, you're going to breathe out. And as you breathe out the stress, whatever tension you have, breathe it out in the form of black sludge. So we'll take 3 of these breaths together. Breathe in light, see those clouds. And I exaggerate a little bit. Breathe in light. Breathe out sludge. See how relaxed you feel. Breathe in light. The third one. And breathe out sludge. Now on this next in-breath, imagine you're breathing in through your nose. You're breathing this light and it comes down right to the center of your chest. So you breathe in. And just focus right on the center of your chest. See this glowing ball. What color is it? Does it change? Does it go in and out as you breathe, as you exhale? Does it have a texture? Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it multiple colors? Is it spinning? And then just imagine from the center of your chest, this ball of light. It's just going up your neck, and as it goes through your body, down to your belly, we'll have it go down our belly. It just everything relaxes. Your body becomes illuminated down to your thighs, to your knees, to your calves, up your chest, up your neck, to your shoulders. Let your shoulders relax. We hold a lot of tension in our jaw. Let your jaw relax. Feel your body completely illuminated. Can you feel it? Imagine that light extending outward. And I'm going to imagine covering Christine with love and light. But you can imagine at home covering maybe a loved one. Picture a loved one about the size of your fist, an arm's length away, and you just got to see them for a little bit, feel them. Imagine covering them in light, covering them in warmth. Because of you, they relax. They feel happy. Light's emanating from you, covering. And see how you feel. Is your body relaxed? Do you feel different? What's the feeling that comes with removing the stress of a loved one? How does that feel? So I'm going to count down from 3. When I get to 1, we'll open our eyes. So breathe in. 3. 2. 1, and then open your eyes when you're ready.
That was
So do you
lovely.
feel awakened?
I feel not just awakened, but I also noticed that both of our voices dropped in,
Yes.
yeah, like the tone of our voice is lower and dropped and more stable, like more grounded. At
Yeah.
home, if you're with us on Esalen Live, even if you did just a little of that, will you let us know how it made you feel? Just a couple of words post since we're digitally connected.
Yeah.
um, I know that you showered me with light. I'm pretty sure that this is who you shower with light a lot. This is Tell us
Yeah.
about this and where this comes from because this is so heartfelt. I can feel it through the screen from you that this practice and this intention that you shared with us today is so heartfelt. Tell us more.
Yeah, no, so this is my wife, Monira, and daughter, Anupriya. And this is us in Pune. And we spent a lot of time in Pune, India. So for 3 summers, I took, when I was at USD, I took 20 of our students to work with Dalit Buddhists. Dalits are groups, they're one of the lowest caste considered what we would call sometimes untouchables. And in Pune, there's a big movement, especially in the college campuses, which is where I was working, where a lot of the Dalit Hindus converted to Buddhism. Because why would you want to stay as part of this religion that considers you basically untouchable? And so this movement called Navayana, or translates Nava's new, Yana, the new vehicle, was started by Dr. Ambedkar, who was a genius. He had 2 PhDs. He wrote the Indian Constitution, and he started this Buddhist movement that was for modern Indians. And it was really inspiring to me because I was with these people and we would bring 20 of our students and we would mix them with 20 of the Dalit Buddhists at Pune University. And you could see really clearly, I love my students, but they're just like me. There was something, you talked about our voices dropping.
Mm-hmm.
There was something just kind of constantly agitated about our students. They seemed like kind of anxious, even when, so you have, on one side, you have students who kind of have it all, right? They have a lot of possibilities, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of technological capabilities. And on the other side, you have Dalit Buddhists who are often quite poor, right? And one group was clearly happy and one group was not. And this really was what kind of started me thinking, what is it about our beliefs? What is it about modern American beliefs that is making us so miserable, or our
Mm,
lifestyle? You know?
mm,
And so this
right.
started new, yeah, yeah,
It's
this
right.
self-hatred, right? There's this famous discussion where the Dalai Lama was asked about what to do about self-hatred, and he was kind of like, why would you hate yourself? Who does that? But it's really common in America, and I think it's
Mm,
part of it is because now digital media, it's like the self that I'm representing on social media, it's a fake self. It's not really who I am, but I'm comparing myself against other fake selves, romanticized, idealized, perfect lives, and I'm always feeling deficient. And I have advertising always telling me there's something wrong with me. And then
Mm.
I'm isolated and my ego just runs into overdrive and it just makes us paranoid, you know? So
Well,
India, yeah,
I want to share with you, Joel, what that practice helped others in Esalen Live. So I'm hoping I'll get your names right, everyone. We're just about to wrap up. So if you have any questions for Joel, please float them into the chat and we'll try to get to them real quick. Look at your screen, Joel, because here is Josephine's reaction to the meditation. I felt relaxed, calm, released from mental and physical tension. Thank you. And then
oh,
Michelle says, help me tap into my inner treasure box. Isn't that beautiful?
yeah,
Yeah. And I'm hoping I pronounced this correctly. Tatsio, the meditation felt like it opened a release valve, letting some of the stress I've been carrying escape. We love to hear that. If
nice.
you're interested in learning a little bit more with Joel, he does have a workshop coming up at Esalen, Transcending the Digital Jungle, everything we've been talking about. So you can be your real self, not the digital self, but stay connected with yourself and everyone else at the same time. It's just really been a pleasure to speak with you, Joel. We learned so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been, yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Everyone, if you have any last minute questions, put them in the chat. Joel will be on Facebook and check it and answer your questions there. You're welcome, Michelle. She says, thank you, Joel. And if
Oh,
any, yeah, I know. And then if anything that Joel said really helped you today, even in the tiniest of ways, send him a little love right now. We just have a moment here on Esalen Life to be together. Yes, digital world, working toward our real selves. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.